tell you, I pray that my person does not have a social media account. Oh my God, it would be beautiful if I'm the only one, but if not. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of Brianna Thizard's Journey. Happy Sunday. Sometimes you might not be watching it on a Sunday, but whatever day it is, I hope all is well. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed so far, anyone who's watching, who's gonna be watching this video. Thank you so much for your support. And of course, as all the YouTubers say, like, comment, and subscribe on this channel. So today we are gonna get right into it. And so I wanna talk about pretty much, of course, I don't want this to be a channel about dating, but dating is such a big part of my journey. And so this episode is going to be on some of the things that I would have told my past self, and just honestly, really the lessons that I've learned throughout my 20s when it has come to dating. So let's just get into it. So the first one would definitely be stop making excuses. Oh my goodness. I am very big on making excuses for let's say because that was in the past. I was very big on making excuses for someone. It was like, I wanted a relationship, and so I would meet someone, they kind of probably didn't fit my standards, or something was a little off about them. There was definitely some red flags, and I was like, oh, well, maybe they're this way because of X, Y, and Z, like always finding excuses. And then when it comes to the end of the relationship, the things that I saw in the beginning that were red flag are like, there's still a red flag at the end. And so I would say one thing, if I had to go back in time, I would stop making excuses for people. Of course, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't expect anyone that I'm going to be with to be perfect, but there are just certain things that you cannot move forward with. And I think I'm the type of person who always likes to find, the best in people. I want to give people grace. But I just realized making excuses for people has been my downfall in relationships. So number one would be stop making excuses for someone. It is what it is. Number two would definitely be, I would say the relationship with God is really important as well. And when I say relationship with God, I don't mean they go to church on Sundays or even read the Bible. Like, really having a relationship with God is really important for me. And I just, even with having a relationship with God, I realized like having certain standards in relationships, like sticking to them. Like for me, I'm not saying again, you have to go to church every single Sunday, but church is something that's important to me. I enjoy going to church. And so in the past, I've dated people who didn't really want to go to church. And I would just say, oh, okay, well, it's not a big deal. But like, no, that's something that's actually important to me. And, even talking about, myself, like me growing in my faith, that's important to me. And so that doesn't mean you have to be like this Bible reading person every single day, or you have to be this pastor, but you just want to be able to have a relationship with someone where I can actually talk about faith. And I would like for you to go to church with me, So having a relationship with God, and again, that doesn't just mean going to church, like actually seeing the fruits, like what is your spirit like? How do you treat people when no one's watching? And so understanding their fruit, their relationship with God, and then I would just say sticking to my standards. And so what I mean by that is, of course, everybody has their list, whether you've written your list down, whether you have it in your head. I feel like, of course, there are going to be things that can be, changed. Like maybe you want somebody of a certain height and then you don't meet somebody of that same height. Not things like that, but kind of going back to the church thing. Like, hey, I want somebody that will be willing to go to church with me on Sundays. I don't go to a church that's 4 or 5 hours long. It's like an hour, maybe an hour and a half long. It's not a long event. So having that standard of wanting somebody to do that with me. I would say another one that was major for me, and I know it's going to sound crazy because, I'm young and a lot of people do this, but I did not want anybody who smoked. Like, I don't want anyone who smokes. And I remember being in a relationship where I, found out the person was smoking, and I was like, oh, it's fine. Like, a lot of people do it. It's not a big deal. And then ended up being very much a big deal. And so it's like you have your standards for a reason, and everyone has different standards. There's some people who are fine with smokers. There's people who are fine with drinkers. There's some people who are fine with their person going to the club every other day. Everybody has their own thing, but for me, I just know that it's super important for me to have my own standards, and like those major ones, sticking to them. So that's another thing that I would say, looking back, that I would have done I would say another good one. This was early in my 20s. And it's crazy because I look at where I am now and look at where I was in my earlier 20s. And I'm like, girl, you are so crazy. Like, how did you not see this? And so one of them is going to be, it sounds crazy saying it out loud now, but back then, I don't know what I was thinking. If you are not able to go to this person's home, more than likely there's something going on there. And so in my earlier 20s, I remember dating a guy and it was always an excuse as to why I couldn't come over. It was like, oh, I live in so-and-so county. Oh, I'm renting from this person. They don't allow company over. And mind you, in my early 20s, I'm believing this. How crazy. If that were to happen now, I'd have been like, goodbye and good riddance, right? But early in my 20s, I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can't go over because, exactly what they said. I was the type of person that if you tell me something, I just believe it. Like, because why would you lie, right? And so now I know, and if I have any friends or when I get older and I have my daughters, I'll be like, girl, if they don't allow you to come over that house, just keep it pushing. Keep it pushing. There's always going to be an excuse. You can't just pull up. It's like, no, flag on the play. No. You can't do it. So that's another thing. Looking back, I'll say, girl, if you can't go over that house, don't do it. Stick to your standards. And of course, you're not going to get everything on your list. And maybe there's some things that you wanted that you didn't get. And it's like, oh, this is actually better. But there's certain things that you do want to stick to because they are important to you. I would say another thing, not really in another person, but for myself when it came to dating, was just like, don't lose yourself. Like, I'm the type of person when I'm in love, I'm like, see your friends. I'll talk to y'all later. Oh, we supposed to do this brunch. Can we reschedule? Like, I is that girl. And it's like, no, continue to hang out with your friends. Of course, you're probably not going to hang out with them as much, but still, communicate with your friends, hang out with your friends, like still have a life outside of your relationship, still have those interests that you have, those hobbies that you have, still do those things. Don't be so consumed in this person. And so for me in my relationships, it's like once I'm in love, oh my God, I am in love. I am all about you. Nothing else matters. And just seeing where I am now in my 20s, I see how important it is to have that balance. And okay, I can still have time for you and I can still pour into this relationship, but I need to also pour into myself. And I still have friends and I still have, hobbies and I still have, and honestly, just, have a life of your own. That's just the main thing. Another thing would be social media. Okay, I know I'm on social media. I am growing on Instagram and TikTok, and I have a YouTube channel, so I'm very much on social media. But let me tell you, I pray that my person does not have a social media account. Oh my God, it would be beautiful if I'm the only one. But if not, the things that I will definitely, like looking back on my relationships, I went on their Instagram page, looked at the following, scrolled, and saw the people that they're following. I understand that, people, follow what they may be interested in. And if you're single, you can follow who you want to follow. But everybody we following, their name is Thickiana, big this, that. No, thank you. I have no interest in that. And so I realized looking back at the people that I've dated in the past, if you're on social media all the time, those are the type of people that you're following, other women that are, dressing in a certain way, whatever, you do you. That's not conducive for a relationship. So it starts online. It starts with looking at it. Then it starts with a DM. Then it starts with a comment. And that's just I just don't want to do all that. So social media, I pray they don't have it. But if they do, let's just have some boundaries here, please. So that's another thing I would say is just that. The social media, having boundaries with that. Because social media does play a big part in relationships nowadays. Another thing that I would say is someone that starts off when you're in your talking phase, when you're getting to meet someone and they are just starting off negative. I don't like that. Like if they're starting off with, well, I'm not gonna waste my time on da da da. It's just like, whoa, hey, my middle name is Nicole. How are you? I don't want to start off something so negative. Like even for me, my past relationships have obviously ended and did not end on the best note, but that doesn't mean that the new person that I meet, they have to, go through all of the experiences that I've had, or I have to put it out on them. No, this is a new experience. I went through what I went through, and now it's time to move on. And so just meeting someone where they're not starting off so negative, that is really important to me. So those are the things that I would say. So those are some of the things that if I had to go back in my past, I would definitely be like, hey, make sure you look into that. Some other things that I would say, of course, life happens and sometimes you're not going to be very consistent, but it's like very wishy-washy. 1 minute you're on, 1 minute you're off. I don't have time for that. That's a waste of time. For me, I feel like majority of my 20s, if I did have to go back, I would say definitely it's important to date and really get to know someone. I was more so the person that's like, all right, I'm dating to marry. I'm looking to find my husband, point blank in the period. And, that part is great to be intentional about what you want. But I think also just getting to know someone is super important. Like, can I be your friend first? Do I actually like you as a friend? And so I would definitely, of course, now that I'm in my later 20s, it's different now. I very much dating to marry, and that's just where I'm going with that. But just honestly, like dating someone, like understanding them, learning about them, I think that's super important. So that was a lot, but those are the things that I've learned in my 20s. Like, girl, if he doesn't allow you to come over, that's a red flag. If it's inconsistent communication, that is, I don't think everything has to be a red flag and you move on. A conversation can be had like, hey, it's kind of strange that 1 minute we're talking, 1 minute we're not, what's going on with that? So conversations are definitely okay to have. But if there's no explanation, or if it's, 1 minute they're back on track, 1 minute they're not, a lot of times it is a waste of time. So, those are just some of the things that if I had to go back in time, those would be the things that I would definitely look into. And I would say also, I know a lot of times, especially in my experience with dating men, they are really hustling. Like they're, on their grind. Some want to retire at an early age. Some want to build a big business. And so they are very much in the state of hustle, want to be providers one day. And because they are so much in that hustle mode, they don't have a balance. And so they're like, hey, well, this is what I'm looking to do. So right now I can't, really focus on the relationship. And I can totally get that because, when you are working on a project or working towards a business, like it takes time. But it's important for me, I know for sure, that the person that I meet has a sense of balance. So yes, you may be on your way to work towards building a business or whatever project you're working on, or change careers or be in a better financial situation, but you need to make time for the things that you also care about as well, as I would do the same. Because it's not like I'm just waiting here, sitting around like, oh, I got nothing to do. Like I got things to do as well, but I want to make sure that, this is also important to me. I also want to meet someone. I also want to pour into them. I also want to one day build a family. And so I'm going to have to make sure that I have some type of balance, and making sure that person has balance too. It's not all about work, and that's it. It's like, okay, no, how do we shift this so it's work and balance? So those are some of the things that I would say is important. And I know looking back, sometimes when I would date men who were very much into like the hustle, you kind of get left on the wayside. And of course, every career is different, and some people that's only for a season, and sometimes you do have to be understanding. I get that, but it's just like, okay, let's find the balance in this all. So I would say that's definitely another thing. But I think more so like the meaningful things when it comes to relationships is like, who is this person? Like, who do they hang around? Like, who are their friends? Growing up, you always heard the term, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And it's so important to know who do these people who does this guy hang out with? And so I would say for me in particular, if you hung out with me and you saw my friends, it would make a lot of sense. They are all, I'm not to brag, but they are all on the journey of doing amazing things. They're growing in their careers. They are in healthy relationships. Some are coming out of relationships. They are all working on themselves, actively working on themselves. And so that is my friend group. And so when, just in my experience of dating, it's important to see like, who are your friends? Because it tells a lot about someone. Seeing someone's friends tells so much about them. These are the people that you communicate with on a regular basis. This is the people where you spend your free time with. And so these are the people that pour into you. So who are these people? What do they look like? Not necessarily what do they look like, but what do they have going for themselves? What are their morals? What are their values? that's super important. So going back, I would say, let me see those friends. Oh my God, that would probably be one of the top things. Like, of course, you want to meet the person's family, but let me see your friends. Let me see the people who pour into you. That's very important to see that. I would say another thing is, man, we got a lot of things. Let me tell you, these 20s, there have been a lot of lessons in these 20s, but another thing that I would definitely say is vision. What is the vision for your life? What do you want for your life? What do you want? And that's super important because a lot of times, especially as a man, if you're walking through life and you don't know your direction, that can be very harmful for a relationship. You can sometimes may envy the person that you're with. If you're a man and you're not, confident in who you are or where you're going, and a woman may be on her journey where she is confident and know where she's going, there can be a conflict there. If you are someone who doesn't have vision, you can just fall for anything. If you have vision, okay, anything goes. There's no direction in your life, and that can be very damaging. And that's something that I didn't really look into when I was in my dating phases, because I thought, everyone's growing, everyone's evolving, and then you'll eventually get to that place. And not to say you need to know your why right away, but what are the things that you want for your life? That is so important because that sets the tone. And so, what do you want in life? Relationship with God, the red flags of lack of communication. Like, there's just so many things when it comes to dating that because I'm going to have to do it again. Doing it again, these are the things that I'm going to have in mind. And just knowing that, everyone is different. And it's just crazy because with dating, you have to start from a new plate. But I'm still going to take, the downfalls that I've had. I'm going to take the positives that I've had as well. And so I feel like, dating again, I don't want this to be a channel all about dating, but it is so important for me on my journey to realize how far I've come in that realm and where I'm looking to go. And I just feel like it's taught me so much, and my perspective has changed a lot. So those are the things that I learned. Those weren't a few things. That was quite a lot of things that I've learned when it came to dating. And I know I'm going to continue to learn more. I'm going to continue to date. And even one day when I get married, there's still things that I'm going to be learning in relationships. Like, it's not going to stop. And so this is just more so what I have experienced in my 20s, the things that I've learned. If I had to go back, the things that I would tell myself. And, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for all the things new that are going to come in the future. If you are watching this, what are some things that you have learned in your dating experience? What are some red flags that you have experienced? Or what are some things that if you had to go back, you would tell your past self? So those are just quite a lot of things that I would go back and tell myself. But at the end of the day, I'm so proud of myself. So proud of how far I've come. So glad that I did not settle. That is probably one of my biggest things that I'm most happy about, that I didn't settle. And I'm so glad that I took those things from those relationships that didn't work, and now I use them, put them in my memory bank. And then when it comes to the new person, again, like, you just stick to those standards, making sure they have a relationship with God, making sure you're being treated in the way that you want to be treated. And so these are things that now you can use to find a better partner. And so I'm excited for my future man, my man. But yeah, so thank you all for watching. Of course, if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I did have to change my camera. Oh my goodness, it has been so challenging filming in March. This has been so crazy, but I'm glad that I have been able to make this video, and I'm going to continue to be consistent and post every Sunday. So thank you again for everyone who has watched, and I will see you next week.